Before we start on the subject of today's video, I have a small thing to say first. There's a quote from Tim O'Brien's The Things They Carried that I think perfectly exemplifies what we're going to be walking into. A true war story is never moral. It does not instruct nor encourage virtue, nor suggest models of proper human behavior, nor restrain men from doing the things men have always done. If a story seems moral, do not believe it. If at the end of a war story you feel uplifted, or if you feel that some small bit of rectitude has been salvaged from the larger waste, then you have been made the victim of a very old and terrible lie. There is no rectitude whatsoever. There is no virtue. As a first rule of thumb, therefore, you can tell a true war story by its absolute and uncompromising allegiance to obscenity and evil. Over 100 years ago, the First World War ended on November the 11th, 1918, at 11 in the morning. It was called the War to End All Wars. And what have we learned from that since? Not a damn thing. The two movies we're about to talk about, I think, perfectly exemplify this quote from Tim O'Brien. This isn't necessarily a catch-all quote for every war story, but I feel like the best ones exemplify this quote. Welcome back to Real Time. My name is Tyler.
And I'm Molly.
And we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
Today, we're going to be talking about two versions of the story, All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah, we're doing the original and the most recent one, which was 2022, I believe.
Yes, it was. The original story this is based on was written by German author Erich Maria Remarque, who was a soldier in the First World War on the German side, of course. And he took his own experiences and wrote a book on them. The book itself was awfully controversial in its day, given that it was banned in Germany by Hitler and the Nazi Party for being anti-war.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely tell that this is especially since it's based on a true story, this is a really powerful story, and I can see why evil people who want war would not want this story out.
At a certain point, Remarque actually left the country, and in his place, the Nazi Party executed his sister and sent him the bill for it.
Oh, that's dark.
Well, yeah, they were Nazis.
Yeah, I guess I should expect that.
The first film version of this movie was made in 1930, which makes this the oldest movie we've covered so far.
Interesting.
It was directed by Louis Milestone, a World War I veteran in his own right.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It starred Lou Ayres as Paul Baumer, our main character, who is based on Remarque. Louis Wilhelm plays Kat, the mentor they meet in the trenches of the First World War. John Ray plays Himmelstas, the drill sergeant who trains the boys into becoming soldiers, and becomes a right prick on his own.
Yeah, for sure.
Arnold Lucy plays Kantorek, the teacher who sends them off and sells them a big lie about the glory of dying in battle for one's country.
Yeah, he's a real smooth talker, and definitely paints a pretty picture for the boys, and they don't really know what they're going to get into.
In the novel, he ends up getting sent to the front himself, serving under the boys, and he was sent off to their deaths.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know what to say.
Which I should mention, Himmelstas in the book later becomes a nicer person after he is sent to the front himself and decides to help the boys out a bit by helping them get some better food.
Yeah, well, that's nice at least.
Ben Alexander plays Kemmerich, Scott Cole plays Lear, Owen Davis Jr. plays Peter, Walter Rogers plays Ned, William Bakewell plays Albert, Russell Gleason plays Mueller. These are all's group of friends, and one by one they are picked off, except for Albert. He manages to be the only one of his friend group to live.
Yeah, he did lose a leg though.
True, but
he lived. He lived, and that's the important thing.
And Slim Somerville plays Jodin, the other veteran that Paul and his friends meet when they first come to the front. So, like the book that came before it, this movie itself was also very controversial when it came out. The depictions of war and violence were something that 1930s audiences weren't really used to seeing.
Yeah, I can see why it was so controversial, but especially during the time when you don't really have movies like this. But because of this movie, you know, it paves the way for other movies like it to come down the line.
Exactly. This movie was also criticized by Americans for being pro-German, and it was criticized by Germany for being anti-war. So if both sides are hating your movie, then I think you're doing something right.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess to me, I definitely don't see pro-German at all. It's just very anti-war. Like, this should not be happening.
Well, it's pro-German in the fact that it's from the German perspective, but that it's just showing them as people, like both sides are.
Yeah, so yeah, it does.
Which
it makes them, it shows the Americans the other side, and it's like, we're all just people.
Which
fighting
this
war.
this movie was made by a World War I veteran, so I feel like he has as much of a say to humanize the Germans as anyone.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which, let's get to that. It's kind of hard to remember that they are Germans in this movie because they're played by Americans who are not doing an American accent whatsoever. It's when they slip in terms like Kaiser or anything like that you remember, oh yeah, they're Germans.
Yeah, that was my problem with this movie is, I definitely kept forgetting that these are German soldiers because of their accents. I spoke English the whole time. It doesn't fully immerse you into that German experience, I guess.
Exactly. That was one of the aspects of the most recent version that I think that one does better.
Yeah, because the newer one they speak German. It's only subtitles, so it really it does do a better job with that.
There is an English dubbing of the movie, but I don't watch that because it breaks the immersion for me. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it really does. If you watch it, if it's from the German point of view, then in the language it was, intended for.
Which I can read subtitles. I'm not lame.
Yeah, you can read, which is very nice.
So this movie was actually the first movie to win both Best Picture and Best Director at the Oscars.
Well, that's an interesting fact.
The previous 1 or 2 years before that, it had gone to different movies, but this is the first one to get both.
That's pretty cool.
It's one of the best war movies I've ever seen, and it's one of my favorite stories that I've seen or read.
Yeah, I've never read it. I bet it would be interesting to read, but I am not the biggest fan of war movies just because they make me sad. Which, if it's making me sad, it's doing its job, so.
At the end of the movie, so let's back up. Paul came back from leave, and he had a horrible time. Whether it was civilians telling him how he should win the war, or his teacher wanted him to doctorate next classroom full of kids ready to go into the meat grinder. He's not having a good time, and he leaves early to go back to the front because home isn't home. His mom is dying of cancer. His dad is trying to parade him around like a show dog to show off to the other men. Like, look at my son. He's off fighting the war, and they'll be in Paris before you know it. And he's just not happy. So he decides that he's going to go back to the front so he can be with Cat and his friends, because those are the people that understand what he's going through. He's going through it with him. He comes back and he finds out also he's going to
Yeah, definitely a depressing moment.
The only ones left are Jodin and Kat, which those two are my favorite characters in the movie. So, but still, everyone he went to school with, all the guys he grew up with and came to the war with, they're gone, either dead or taken away for desertion, which they're gonna shoot that guy. So,
Yeah. Yep.
and he finds Kat and he tells him how he feels, and Kat basically says, "Yeah, I understand, but just got to get through this." And Kat ends up getting wounded from a bomb dropped by a plane, so Paul has to carry him back. But unbeknownst, another bomb blew up. Well, it's not unbeknownst.
They knew the bomb blew up.
They did, but that bomb, a bit of shrapnel hit Kat in the back of the neck and killed him.
Yeah. So, the main character's carrying him all the way back, thinking that he just passed out from the pain of his broken leg, but really he was dead the whole time.
And this basically, it saps his the rest of his will, and he's just going through it all now, because the last person, well, one of the last people he had is gone, and now he's the old man among all these literal children who are trying to fight the war with him. And the final scene, which, spoiler alert for a almost 100-year-old movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paul sees a butterfly over the edge of the trench, so he reaches out to get it, but a French sniper spots him and shoots him.
Yeah. I feel like that could be left for interpretation. It's like he knows better than to do that. So did he do it on purpose? Was there a part of him that wanted to just get it over with?
Who can say?
Yeah.
But that plus the montage right after of the boys looking back at, overlaid over a cemetery really drives home the point that nobody won in this conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, a very sombering moment was the ending of the movie.
But like the Tim O'Brien quote I said, that's what makes this such an effective picture.
Yeah, it was really good. I don't know what I like more, though. I don't know if I like the original more or the new one, so I can't really say right now.
I'll get to that when we get to that one. But yeah, I like them both for different reasons.
Yeah, I can see that, for sure.
So, who is your favorite character in all of this?
I like the main character okay, but I also like Kat a lot. So, probably Kat.
Yeah, I really like Kat. He's the gruff, no-nonsense mentor that they meet, who's really compassionate in his own right too, because he shows them how to do things, how to survive, and when they're going to lay wire and they have artillery barrage around them for the first time, one of them either pees or poops their pants, and Kat doesn't make fun of him or anything. He just says, it's okay, it happens. I've done it too.
Yeah. Yeah, he works really well with all the younger soldiers.
And he's just funny too.
Yeah.
I think he has some of the best moments of levity in this movie, like when comes back from stealing a pig so that him and all the other soldiers can eat. Some of the older guys are like, "There's not enough for all this." He just tells them that he wishes that they would just go die.
Yeah.
I love Cat. He's the best.
Yeah, I like him too. I think so. My favorite character.
So, next we're going to be talking about the 2022 version of Western Front. Which, before we get to that, I should say that the actual title of the book was In the West, Nothing New. Because when Eric Remarque was on leave back home, he looked in the paper about how it was going. And they were talking about how in the West, nothing new. But he knew that, no, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, a nice title.
But later on, it became All Quiet on the Western Front, which I think that's a better title.
Yeah, I think so too. It's catchier. It might not have the same meaning as the original title, but I feel like it just...
It basically means the same.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So next, the 2022 version of All Quiet on the Western Front, or In the West, Nothing New. The 2022 version of All Quiet on the Western Front was released on Netflix around a year ago right now.
Yeah, I guess when I saw it was a Netflix movie, I was like, I didn't know what to think. But it ended up being pretty good.
Yeah, and turns out Netflix only distributed it because it got an actual, physical media release, which I jumped on.
Yeah. So it had a much greater production value than what I was expecting.
Yeah, I was walking in Best Buy one day and I saw the 4K version of this movie, so I was like, that's mine. I'm getting that. Mm-hmm. And I just gotta say, the transfer looks amazing.
Yeah, it does look really good, and I'm definitely not surprised that as soon as you saw it in the stores, you bought it.
So this version of All Quiet stars Felix Kammerer as Paul Baumer. Oh, also it was directed by a man named Edward Berger. I like that name.
Berger. I wish my last name was Berger.
Well, it's not. Albrecht Schuch plays Cat. I'm sorry for mispronouncing all of your names. I really am. I'm doing my best, guys.
You're trying, yeah. I can't do any better, so.
Aaron Hilmer, okay, I said that right, I think, plays Albert. Morse Klaus plays Muller. Adrian Grunwald plays Ben. Enid Hasanovic plays Jordan. Daniel Bruhl, the most well-known German actor to Western audiences, plays Matthias Erzberger. That wasn't an aspect of the original book. There wasn't anyone advocating for peace, trying to work out the armistice in the book. So, this version does deviate from the book, but I feel like it gets the same message across. And David Striesau plays General Friedrichs. We'll get to him, but he's basically the piece of crap general who is just sending men off to die while he sits comfortably in his mansion.
Yeah, not a likable character.
So, one thing that's immediate from this version of All Quiet is, one, the actors are German.
Yeah, which definitely helps with the immersion.
And two, they look the appropriate ages.
Yeah, they look young. They don't look like full-on adults yet. They still look like they are young and too young to see the stuff that they're about to see.
In the original, these guys look like they're in their 20s. You know, like not really high school age. Now, the stress of war would age them, but even at the beginning of the movie, they're still looking like adults.
Yeah, Which, not to say that they don't look old, but to be more realistic, we need some, like, high school kids, older high school.
And this version, cat's on my phone. This version did it fantastically. Felix Kammerer, for example, is actually he's my age.
Oh, he looks much younger than your age.
Yeah, like he was born in September of '95, so he's 28 now. He would have been, well, younger, obviously, while making the movie. But the guy looks like he's just walked out of high school. And this was his first role in a movie.
Yeah, really impressive for a first role.
Jeez, I didn't realize this was his first role, but he was fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Really impressive.
Okay, man, we're getting off topic, but like staying on topic at the same time. That's kind of impressive for us.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
And Cat would have been, well, he wouldn't have been the old man that we saw in the original, or in the 1976-79 version, where he was played by Ernest Borgnine. A bit old, but again, the stress of world will age you, but it'd be more realistic for an older soldier like him. I say older. It'd be more realistic if he was only in his mid-20s, because that's just how it is sometimes. True, there are older guys, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I can explain it well, but I get what you're saying.
Okay, good. So, in this version, most of Paul's friends get killed off their first day in the trash.
Yeah, which really shows you how bleak. That's a good word. This one is gonna be.
Not even that. We get a great sense of the bleakness of the movie from the actual first scene in the movie, because we just get this the scene of German soldiers actually in conflict, and we're following this one character, and as he's trying to survive, and then smash cut to the titles, and right after that, he's dead.
Yep. And then we see his clothes travel all the way back to the main character.
Yeah, we see the cyclical nature of this war, how the uniforms and the equipment that these guys are using outlive them.
Yeah.
We had a similar scene in the original with the boots that three different characters wear, and they all end up getting killed. It's just these guys' gears outliving them.
Yeah, which I think is a very powerful message.
Yeah. Countries will they'll go through men, but they'll keep onto their equipment so that they can put it to use with the next guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very dark, but also realistic.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we see Paul and his friends at school, and there's a lot of them that are just getting sent off to die, because the original started off at the beginning of the war in 1914. This one is starting us off in the twilight of the war in 1917.
Yeah, and the war ended in
1918.
Okay.
Which, according to the book, Paul died about a month from the armistice, which just barely made it. But in this version, he died at the armistice.
Yeah, which was one thing. The only reason I didn't like that was because it made me so sad.
That's the idea.
Yeah, which I know that's the idea, but it's like he was almost there. He almost survived. And then he died, like, right at the last second.
Basically, the generals and stuff get word that armistice is happening at 11 in the morning, so just accept it. But that that fat bastard General Friedrichs over there says, "Nah, I want to kill more Frenchies." So he sends his troops out to attack French positions, and only for just so he can stack more bodies, I guess. But he's not even the one doing it because his fat ass isn't the one in the trenches. So he just does it just so he can get more glory or whatever. I hate him so much, but it's intentional, so that's okay.
Yeah, it's definitely intentional. It's, yeah, I don't like it at all, but that's good because that's what it's wanting you to do.
And Paul is about to get in this fight with this French soldier, and he gets bayoneted from behind by this other guy, and like right as it happens, like, you know, the ceasefire happens, so he's just barely made it.
Yeah. Really aggravating.
But again, that's the
Yeah,
point.
that is the point. Unfortunately, that is what they want you to feel in that moment.
Because it's like, if you're familiar with the story, and you most likely are, if you're watching this, you get a sense of hope. Because, okay, Kat may have just died. They were robbing this farm of like eggs and stuff so that they could eat. And the farmer's son ends up shooting Kat, which I don't like it, but I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of depressing that was the way he went. He didn't go out in war. He went because he was a thief. Which, I mean, not like they had very many options there.
Yeah, I mean, dying's dying, so either way.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, just. I mean, it was sad.
And then when Paul gets back to the camp, and it's like, okay, just we're almost to the armistice. You just gotta wait it out a little bit longer, and it's completely intentional. I know it. I realize this. I know it. It still doesn't hurt any less.
Yeah. Even though, like, I think you told me that all these characters die. Or, like, I somehow knew that everyone was gonna die. But still, at the end, I was like, oh, maybe Tyler was wrong. Maybe, like, this guy does live. And then I was like, oh, that's depressing.
Yeah, it's not an easy movie to watch, but it's very.
I agree. Yeah, it's one that I probably will not watch on my free time ever again unless you make me. But I still think it was a phenomenal movie. It's just too hard for me to watch.
Now, this movie, like when it came down time for award season, I wasn't really paying attention to its chances and all that, because like I never expect the movies I like to get much attention from, you know, the Oscars and all that, because that's just how it is.
But this last year, it was very different.
Yeah, this one got, let's see, 9 nominations and won 4. Okay, it was nominated for Best Production Design, Best Cinematography, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Picture, Best Visual Effects, Best Sound, Best Score, Best Makeup, and Best International Feature Film, and ended up winning the International Feature, Score, Cinematography, and Production Design, which I think it's all well-deserved.
That's what I was just about to say. Those were well-deserved wins, yeah.
A lot of people got upset about this winning over Babylon for Best Score, which I haven't seen Babylon, so I can't say, but there's a reason why this score won. It's because the score for this movie, it's just those like 3 notes, but it perfectly complements the film that's attached to, because it represents the cyclical nature of this war, that it just keeps going, keeps droning on, it keeps making you uncomfortable, to say the least.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it was very well matched to the movie, and I think that's the main goal you want with a score.
It's very minimalist, but it's very good, and I can't say enough. This is a great movie, and where does it stack up against the original for you?
I may have liked it more than the original. Not that I didn't like the original, but I feel like this one you could do more with it. It could show more violence, and I think it all boils down to I like this one more because it was more immersive. Just because I didn't have to forget that these guys were German. But I'm not saying that the original was bad at all.
Look, I'm gonna cop out and say that this was a tie for me for both of these.
They're very close, yeah.
Like the original is a more faithful adaptation of the book, so I really appreciate that. But this one is a more immersive story with actual German actors, with actual age-appropriate actors, and it also had a nice subplot with Matthias Erzberger trying to stop the war. They're both very good movies. That's all that's how I could sum it up. They're both very good, but I did feel more immersed with the new one. And some things with the original you just can't fault it for, because it was of the times that it was made. Like the amount of violence that they showed, they couldn't get away with a lot.
Yeah.
But this version, they were, because it's a 2022 movie. Overall, these are both fine works. The original has it's more book accurate, but I feel like this remake is more faithful to the spirit of the book of being anti-war. And that Tim O'Brien quote, I think this version fits that quote much better than the original.
Yeah, I think so.
So, who is your favorite character in this in the remake?
It might still be Cat. I think so.
Yeah, I love Cat. He even though in this version he looks like Gus Johnson.
Yeah, that's what you say. I can kind of see it, but yeah, I can kind of see it.
Gus Johnson actually played Cat in this version. Yeah, I didn't ask what your favorite part was.
I don't think I could say, really. It's kind of hard to pick out your favorite part in a movie that is all dark and depressing.
But then again, we were able to say what our favorite scene from Schindler's List was, I think.
Yeah, I probably said the ending of Schindler's List, right?
Maybe.
Sounds like what I would say.
You know what? It's too hard to pick a favorite scene.
Yeah.
From either version.
Yeah, I could not pick.
Just watch both of these versions. We didn't cover the 1979 version because we didn't have time.
Yeah. Not time for
We're releasing this after Veterans Day, so that shows us.
But it's okay because Tyler's a veteran, so we took that day to do other things.
We went to Applebee's and I got free food.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty good food.
So if you're listening to this, thank a veteran. If you're not listening to this, I understand.
If you're not listening to this, they're not going to hear this.
Exactly.
All right.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah. Stay tuned for an important announcement maybe later in the channel.
Maybe.
Maybe.